I'm about to tell you the secrets of making cool buildings in Fortnite. A lot of you have been asking me how to make buildings in Fortnite. Today I'm gonna walk you through the process of how you can determine what buildings you need to make and then what you do in creative mode to make those buildings. I even have a really cool technique that I think is gonna help you out a lot. A lot to go over, let's get into it. Okay, the first thing you do when you're building buildings of some sort, you first have to determine what exactly you need. So do you need something that's up close and like you're actually gonna walk by? Or do you need buildings that are off in the distance that your character's not gonna get close to? Because that's gonna change your build style completely. So this is an example. So I built Batman's house here, right? And you can even come down into the Bat Cave down here, right? And I built this a while ago. But on this map, I specifically wanted Gotham City off in the background. Now, from a distance, this looks pretty good. You've got like windows over there and buildings, but when you get up close, you'll start to see the truth about these buildings. So when you get up to it, all they are is just simple buildings I just threw together with like a single block in it for the windows. Like all of this is really quick. Like, look, this is a building, but this is just one prop I threw into it. Same thing here. This is just a few props I built together. You look up close at how scuffed these buildings actually are. Even the bank, look at this. This is one prop I put in there. A whole bunch of the lit windows just being the blocks. And while up close it looks really bad, the person was never intended to get close to the city. So from a distance, this looks pretty decent. I did the same thing in my Cloud City map here. From the distance, the city on top looks pretty good. But when you get up close, you'll realize this isn't buildings at all. They're just props I threw in together. This is the rocket ship. And then there's this. This is just that little lamp post that I blew up to be huge. Like I've even got these like pieces back here that look like junk when you're up close. But when you back up, now it looks like Cloud City. Versus my like Daily Planet map here, where I actually wanted buildings that you're gonna run by. Even the like stock exchange here, you could actually go in and have an interior to the building. Like it's a very different feel on this map versus the last two I just showed you. What your needs are gonna determine what you're gonna build and how you're gonna build it. Like even on this map, I didn't need to have the backside, so I didn't build a backside. Just built the front side, which saved me a lot of memory, a lot of time, and so forth. The next step is super important in pretty much any aesthetic build. You gotta find reference images. So I always go to Google and look up what I want. So let's say we're trying to find modern buildings. So these are the images that come up when we find modern buildings. So then what I'm doing is I'm looking through to find buildings that have the style that I want. So this is a really cool looking building, but it's probably not what I want for my map. But this is a really cool looking office building that I may want to emulate in my city or whatever I'm building. Maybe that's not perfect, but maybe the look of this city is perfect. You're gonna find so much inspiration as you look through Google at buildings that you may want to build yourself. Look at the actual architecture on some of these buildings. Look at where they have lines and things sticking out, like right here. Is there curves on the buildings? Are they tall and narrow? They have a funky shape like this. Like there's all sorts of things you're gonna find as you look through these searches. Okay, so let's refine this search a little bit. Maybe you want it to be a little bit more sci-fi. So I'm gonna look up sci-fi office buildings. Okay, now here we've got something. So this is a building image I actually used recently for a reference. But there's all sorts of other things down here. Man, there's some cool buildings here. Like this could be a really cool building for a map, or that building. I mean, gosh, there's so much inspiration as you look through these reference images. Maybe you don't want sci-fi, maybe you want fantasy. So these are fantasy office buildings. Oh, okay, so we get like an image of Coruscant, that's cool. Or here, this is really cool, like, I don't know, a little bit more Grecian architecture. This is a really cool image of like an interior of a building. I'm thinking office probably isn't great for fantasy office buildings, so let's just say fantasy buildings. All right, now we're getting more of what I want. See, we've got some good examples of cool fantasy buildings. Oh, that one's really awesome. I love that look. This is an image I actually used as a reference for Axial Tilt, the map that's coming out later this week. I love this. You've got like the walking houses. That's so cool. Like you're just starting to get so much inspiration just from Googling a few things. All right, so you found your reference images. Now you need to find the right props to help you build your buildings. What you pull out here is gonna really depend on what you're building. But I wanna show you a few props that have really helped me in my builds. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the yacht gallery, you're gonna see this wall right here. This is a wall we used a lot in Axial Tilt. It's such a good wall for like futuristic looking buildings. It's clean and white, but it still has that panel metallic look. It's just a great wall. I mean, if you pull out these other pieces that are connected to it and you start playing around with them, I mean, you can start building buildings just with a couple of pieces that look really cool. And it's all just about like angles and just getting the right feel for what you want, right? So if you find the right props, you can all of a sudden start to see a building taking shape. So now you throw in some pillars pillars to accent your building. Maybe throw in some glass as well. I don't know, let's make it purple or something. So there you go, we got the beginnings of a building that looks pretty cool, a little bit different. And all just off of the right prop, right? We found this nice wall that works for this building. Now this isn't perfect, I'd have to do a little bit of adjusting on like the sizes of the walls and everything, but for this like quick example here, you can see I've got a modern looking building coming together really quick because I found the right prop. So I recommend as you're looking through props and galleries to look through the prefabs first, because you may see some building style or type that you really like, and then you can adapt it to what you want. So maybe you really like the Fortilla look and you're like, oh, this perfect red wall, that's awesome. That's gonna be perfect for my build. I just think it's easier to look through the prefabs than it is to look through the galleries for exactly what you're looking for. Because you may just say, oh, I need wood. Okay, this pirate wall is perfect. So use these prefabs to your advantage to help cut down on time as you're looking for props. Okay, now I'm gonna show you a really cool trick for building buildings or even whole cities. First, right here behind my head, you'll see options. I'm gonna push B and open that. And right up here above my head, I'm gonna turn my build to prop off. And I'm just gonna put down one wall. It could be any wall you want. I'm just throwing down the wood wall because it's easy to throw down. Now, I'm gonna build the bottom floor of each of the buildings that I want to build. I'm just gonna grab a few pieces here and throw down some buildings real quick. You can add whatever details you want to make it look the way you want it to look, right? Now, when you're making your buildings here, guys, they can be props. They don't have to be built on or off the grid. It's really up to you. Okay, so there's the first floor of my first building. I'm gonna pull out these walls from the agency that are really cool. That's good enough there. There's a nice brick wall that I think would work well for a building. Let's throw some flowers here underneath the windows to make it look just a little bit more homey. Let's grab this wall from the Shark Gallery over here. This is just gonna be a simple office building. Art Deco Gallery has some really cool walls too. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, we're gonna say this is our like city street here. So I'm just gonna copy all of this using my copy tool. So we've got everything copied, including our props, like the little windowsill things. And then we're gonna copy this as well. I'm gonna make sure my build a prop is off. Then I can just copy and paste this going straight up. Okay, this is really easy stuff here. We're just copying and pasting the whole like street that we're building. Then go up as high as you want your tallest building to be. You can always delete stuff from your other buildings. Okay, let's say that's as tall as we want our tallest building. So now look, it already feels like we're in this huge city. Maybe this building we don't want to be as tall, so we're gonna delete everything above this line. Aha, there we go, it's disappearing. And then maybe we want this one to just be slightly taller than this other one. Aha, unfortunately we have the props on this, so it's gonna take a little bit longer to delete. Okay, so we're looking good here. Now for these taller buildings, you'll just want to like make it so it also goes this way as well. But now look, it looks really good there. I mean, you're gonna probably have to make sure you can't see through these buildings. I'm just throwing this together as an example. Then all you're gonna need to do is kind of like switch up the bottom of your buildings. So like I wanna make an entrance here. One way I could do that is just change the depth of this actual prop piece. Now we've got like a doorway as opposed to a window. Literally in just like 10 minutes, I have like a whole city street that I'm walking down and looks really cool. So now I wanna talk a little bit about details on your buildings. It's amazing what you can do as you add just a little bit of pop to each of your buildings. This is a good one, for example, right here. So this building right here would be like a rectangle building, but instead of having the normal rectangle corner here, we've angled it so that it has an angle on the corner instead of just an edge like it is over here. So now this building looks way more interesting because we have an angle instead of a corner. Same thing, instead of just having it be stacked right one on top of each other, the gap in between where you can have some pillars that are holding up your building. So now it looks like a way more interesting building than just, you know, it's stacked one right up on top of each other. What are the details that you can add to your building that's gonna make it look really cool? So my final piece of advice when it comes to buildings is just to practice. Look up those reference images and start practice building. You don't have to have a whole map planned out. Just say, I wanna build a building really quickly and play around with it. Or you know what, you'll be a pro too.